It seems like we might be having some audio issues.
How about now?
Okay.
How about now?
Yes,
Frank?
there we go.
Me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, I need a big cup of coffee that says you're on mute so people can just hold it right up. And I thought maybe the problem was somewhere other than my computer. Nice to hear your voice, Frank. How are you?
Good. And yourself?
I'm doing great. I am so excited to have you on the broadcast today because I've been commenting on these races for a few weeks now. I've been watching some of the moves and action out there in the game, and it's gotten pretty exciting. What's it been like racing for you?
It's been great racing, and a little bit under the weather today, and I thought I would fill in for Chris. I'm the, I'm the second rung bench player that gets a little play time. Every now and then from a commentating perspective. So a little unhappy that I'm not racing today, but I think my body will be happy taking a day off. And so I'm looking forward to the races. They've been very exciting to race. Really noticing the skill levels coming up. And I've really started to notice that fatigue plays such a role in the Pro Power races, so that's something I'll be commenting on throughout the various races today.
Yeah, and I think that perspective is going to be so helpful because it's easy when you're sitting in this chair saying, oh, if they can just make connection, oh, if they can just put a little more power on, and you're really topping out. We've got a minute before we start our first race, so let's take a look at our first race today. We've got 4 laps on this course here. It's 11 kilometers, medium difficulty, and boy, look at that map. It wiggles and worms around, and then you can also see the elevation there as it gets a little bumpy with some up and down in corners. So, Frank, lots of danger on this course.
Lots of danger. This also, I don't know why, you look at this sort of profile and you're like, oh, obviously the racers are going to see that there's lots of twists and turns and places to crash. But this one oddly sneaks up on you, and it sort of lulls you into going fast on some of the straights or some of the longer straights, and then you don't slow down enough for the corners. So it will be quite tricky for the riders today.
Yeah, it will be. So we do know for those tricky corners, they have two corner capers, which does help them prevent crashes here. This is what our power-ups look like for the day, and also a weight lifted, which will help them on the climbs. We'll come back to this graphic a little bit later, but corner caper, weight lifted, 2 of each. And here we go, out of the gate. First few seconds here, you can see that the avatars are transparent as everyone jockeys for position here. You can see Timothy taking the front out of the gate. Everyone just trying to get that position, establish a pace on Cade Peak here. That's Vibeke in the video display down below there. That's the in-game video. And you can see this peloton stretch out. Will it come together in one peloton, or will there be a natural break? I think they're going to stick together. Frank, this first part of the race, why is this so important to a racer, this positioning?
Well, I think you want to sort of get set up for the corners in Cade Sport, and so you have a little bit more latitude if you're out in front. Your positioning, how you're going to be taking the corners. These are like this isn't quite a crit course. That's why it sneaks up on you, but there are a lot of turns here, and it's a little bit more crit-like. And there you see it. It just sneaks up on you, and a couple of people go down. And they could have had a little bit of a skid if there wasn't somebody next to him, but if there's somebody next to you, of course, you bump into them and you go down. That's the Cade Sport dynamics. Somebody else can't crash you, but if they're there, you will crash into them as it goes, and so that's what we were seeing there.
Yes, little points of danger. And this one of the aspects of this course beyond the corners is that there are some obstacles to watch out for. There's some narrow bridges. So that positioning comes into play here. You can see on the map on the upper left-hand side there, you can see all the little dots that represent the racers and avatars moving through the screen. So you can see that there's a little bit of break between the front group and the group behind. But right now, we've got Renee, we've got Sebastian, we've got Vanessa, we've got Vibeke, and maybe if we can see that riders list, we can take a look at what some of those speed differentials are, because that's another thing, Frank, that I've been observing is those speed differentials between the racers and how that helps it. Whoa, there she goes, down she goes, making those decisions on when to go and how to close those gaps.
Yeah, and that was one of those sneaky corners. Looked like Cade Sport and Hive were setting up for a good 1v1 team battle, and then it all goes south as Vanessa leads the Blue Angels into the ground. They auger in, and now it's going to be playing catch up the whole time. Carl!
Look at Carl Axel navigating those obstacles, the boulders in the middle of the course. Drops the corner caper, comes around. If you don't know the course, you're not going to know what lane you want to be. I know. I know, that was insane. That was some massive skill. And Frank, that was some of the skill that you're talking about. You can see him slowing down here a little bit for the corners. You can see that he left a train wreck behind him with all those red crashes happening. Here's a little replay of him coming through. Woo! There goes Ben. That was one of the crashes that was happening downstream of Carl Axel blazing a path at the front, navigating the obstacles. And that skill level is at display, Frank.
Absolutely, and one of the things I thought was interesting there, first of all, he barely made it through, so he must have had his timing down. Looks like maybe a little practice there to see if you can get through with that. And then you could just see him slam on the brakes before the corner. Very important, everybody. If you're riding Cade Sport, it's like you're riding outdoors, and you want to be, especially for braking hard, you want to do that before the corner and then let off your brakes completely when you actually start doing the turn. And you saw Carl really slow way down for that corner, probably more than he needed to. A little bit of a panic stop. But that is better than the alternative, which is you crash in the corner and you lost even more time. So he's still got a little bit of a lead here on Timothy. Timothy will not give in easily here. And then everybody else is going to be hard-pressed to chase. We've got, is that Sebastian? Looks like Sebastian to me. Sebastian is very good on the technical skills, and you see that will pay off dividends for him. As well, and then it starts to become a fatigue issue. But I think we've got more skill-oriented courses today.
Yes, we've got 8.2 kilometers to go on Cade Peak. There's more than one lap, so I think the riders will do a little bit of learning. There's still plenty of time, not only in terms of duration, but in terms of the obstacles. There's Ben dropping his weight lifted, rather. That means he's a little bit lighter, makes the power a little bit more influential if he's got to carry less weight up the climb. So he's trying to shake off Vanessa, who is sticking to him like glue. But there's plenty of time in this race for mistakes to happen in the front. Carl Axel, 25 seconds ahead of Timothy. I think that Vanessa's going to be one to watch, because if Vanessa and Ben can close the gap to Sebastian, then the three of them can get together. Carl Axel is trying to keep that gap on Timothy, and he can see in his rearview mirror that it's closing. And there's a psychological aspect of having someone behind you where you need to keep the tempo up, you need to keep the pressure on. And this is one of those cases where if he comes to those obstacles again and he misses his timing because he has a different level of urgency, taking the lead versus keeping the lead are two different animals.
Well, and the person I wouldn't want chasing me if I was Carl Axel is Timothy, because of all the people, Timothy probably has the best ability to go through the corners at speed. I would say Sebastian is the most consistent, going through at pretty good speed. But Timothy can really push the edge. He'll skid, he'll turn into the skid, he'll save the skid in the corners, and he'll really maximize the speed. He'll take a little bit more risks because of that, and you can see the gap is coming down. And as Carl is cautious because he's in the lead, he'll brake a little bit harder, and it looks like Timothy probably has a little bit more time in the corners, is able to go a little bit faster, and so now Carl's under this pressure. And Carl says, I've got the solution for that. I'll just corner caper it and go hard. And you see him going, and we'll see if he makes it all the way through the corners. Oh, wow. I mean, I got to tell you, that timing was amazingly close. A few milliseconds less, and I think he wipes out in that corner. But now he's got his lead back up. But Timothy, I think, is saving his power-ups. Timothy's a counter. He's always counting power-ups. He's not panicking yet. Even if he's in a red room, he's still not panicking. Oh! And as I say that, all those accolades, he pushed that corner a little bit too hard and he goes down.
A little too much, but that is sort of what you need to do. You need to be aggressive. You need to, especially when you're in that chase position, and it is really difficult to, you brake just a smidge too late. You start to accelerate. My mistake, Frank, was I'd always come out of the corner too hard. I'd begin my acceleration out of the corner just a little bit early. So that's another piece of timing that these racers are really finessing, and you don't necessarily get to see it. You see their avatars changing lanes and moving, but the sensation that these riders are experiencing, as you said, is just like being outside, where you have to kind of be mindful of all of those different dynamics at play. Carl Axel here in front of Timothy stretched out that lead to 19 seconds. We're about halfway through the race. We can see Sebastian behind Timothy has crashed. Shakalaka has crashed, but Timothy is very focused. He knows this is one of 3 races on the day. I think he, if he just holds his place, he could be happy with a second place finish, but that's not in Timothy's DNA, because he knows Sebastian is right behind him and will capitalize on any mistake. So he's got to play it safe. So he's making a decision right now whether or not he wants to chase it for the gold or stick around for step number 2. But Sebastian has. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I would say it's very interesting here. You see Sebastian, who was being very consistent. Now, he did go down, but I think he probably took umbrage that Timothy's better in the corners. And so I think he was pushing it as well to show us that he knows how to go through with max speed as well. And when you're behind, one of the best ways to get up to speed is to take the corners well. You mentioned something. Cade Sports' slogan is stop pedaling, start cycling. And with that, it really is about cycling. So you talked about stomping out of the corners, which isn't something you really do in real life. Sometimes in the crit, you'll stand up and stomp pretty hard. But usually that's when you're out of the corner or just as you're coming out of the corner. And it's the same in Cade Sport. You really have to sort of gauge your effort. You want to cycle, not just pedal. A lot of the other virtual cycling platforms, it's pedal, pedal, pedal. Pedal as hard as you can, pedal all the time. I saw another platform. It's got some new hollow replays, which are really designed to make you go even harder all of the time. But any of us who cycle outdoors, we know that there's times to pedal hard, but there's times to coast. There's times to finesse the brakes as you go through corners. And Cade Sport is really looking to emulate cycling, not just pedaling and fitness. So, we see some skidding there. They're really pushing the corners here.
Nice save there by Vanessa.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, Sebastian is like a shark behind her right now. So Vanessa closed that gap down to Sebastian. I think at one point it was 7 seconds. So she's done a lot of work to close down that gap to get to Sebastian. She's now doing the work on the front, and Sebastian is like, you go for it. I'm going to stick to you like glue. I know you can suck a wheel. I can suck a wheel. However, this is a spot where they're fighting out for a podium place. If everything in the front of them remains the same, this is a podium position. I think Vanessa wants it. Look at her cook around those corners, opening up a little bit of gap there. Boom, little wind at your back. Sorry, weight lifted through this here, giving her a little bit more advantage to move up the hill faster. Interesting.
Yeah, and what I see here that's interesting is you do have this Blue Angels effect in cycling, and you have it certainly in Cade Sport, which is if you're following somebody, it's easy actually to follow them right into the ground, right? For those of you who aren't familiar with sort of the Blue Angels thing, everybody's watching the lead guy, and that's all you can pay attention to if you're that close to them. And so wherever he goes, you go, and if he flies into the ground, you'll fly right into the ground with him. And so I saw Sebastian being a little cautious there, right? So he's there. He's stalking Vanessa, but he's like, hey, you take all the chances on the corners. I'm going to be Mr. Consistent, and I believe consistency will win. And now you see him sort of – go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no. But now this is one of the things where when you're this close to a rider coming into these obstacles, you start to lose the options, right? I think one of the things that I would want to be on the front for is that I can choose my line, and I'm not going to be beholden to the moves that the person does in front of me to maybe take the line I was going to make. And, it's definitely, I know that on a number of courses where I've been, we talk about being ridden to the ground, and if you're not paying attention, you can be put right end over on the boulders,
No, absolutely. Team Hive is particularly good at boxing people in so that they either have to break almost to a full stop to get out of danger, sort of get out of the hurt locker there, or you just end up crashing and going over your handlebars. And that's a good way to it's teach us positioning. One of the things that Cade Sport is particularly good at in terms of when we talk about pedaling versus cycling is positioning. How do you position yourself? How do you position yourself in a group? Pace lines work. All of those types of things are key in Cade Sport, just as they are out on the road. One of the things, if you're riding Cade Sport, when you go back to the road, you're still used to braking. You're still used to thinking about where you're applying power. If you're going on a downhill into a corner, you're braking early. All those types of things accrue so that when you get back outdoors, for the summer, spring type seasons, you're ready to ride instead of, I got to unlearn all my bad habits.
Right. And I think that that's one of the things too, where because you can feel the feedback of the road, you can feel the feedback of the draft, you can feel, those different changes. Riding outside, you've made some gearing choices, right? You're anticipating the road, you're making sure you're where you want to be in terms of, what gear are you in? Are you coming to a climb and, it's too late, I don't want to drop my chain if I want to make any changes. So it is a little bit educational in that way too, so that it does keep those reflexes sharp. So here we are, Carl and Timothy on screen side by side. Right now you can see that Carl Axel still has the lead. We're on board with Timothy. I'm not sure with 1.4 kilometers. I think his game is just to maintain his position and not let Vanessa catch him. I don't think he's chasing down Carl Axel. If Carl Axel doesn't make any mistakes, maybe. But I don't know. Timothy, I'd be a little bit worried. You can see Vanessa here. We're on board with Vanessa. Vanessa has Timothy in her sights. Now, we've seen Vanessa come up onto the podium, I think at times where people weren't expecting her to. So she's a cagey rider, and she is constantly evolving and surprising me with her tactics. So nice and steady. She shook off Sebastian by about 10 seconds. Now she drops that weight lifted again in the obstacle section of Cade Peak, just to give her a little bit of boost. She's watching her speed, just a little conservation here for her power, probably just to make sure she has something for the finish.
Absolutely. So one of the things it's been, and we see this with lots. I see. You had to know. Vanessa goes down. Timothy uses the power up. He says, "I'm not worried about Vanessa. You guys talking about her? I've got this all under control."
Yeah, he's like, dude, you didn't count that I had the corner capers. I haven't used any of my power-ups. Watch what I do. So let's see, 5.5 kilometers to go. Carl Axel is from Timothy. Vanessa still holding third and still in front of Sebastian by about 10 seconds here. So back on board with Carl Axel, just kind of kicking it through, realizing I've got 0.3 kilometers. I'm just going to keep the legs warm. I'm not going to overcook it. And he knows that he has another 2 races coming up. So he'll take the W here, coming across the line. Doesn't need to sprint it out. Is uncontested here for the win. It looks like Timothy and Vanessa still just 6 seconds apart, just a little bit further back. I think Timothy's going to get that second. And if Vanessa holds her power, she'll also get that third. Here's on board with Timothy. You can see the red highlights over the riders' names. Those represent riders that have just recently crashed. So some of the final positions there for some of those other racers will be mixing it up a little bit, I think. Timothy nice and calm, doing the same thing, letting his heart rate come down. You can see in his display 159, 158, 57, 56. Oh, that's youth in action right there. That heart rate coming down quick after his effort. What? Vanessa was like, not so easy. Wait, did she squeak it out? Like I didn't have the copter camera on that one. Here comes Sebastian. Vanessa
I don't
was like,
think
yep.
she did, but she was trying to sneak that in.
She's like, yes, keep lulling him into pacify him into thinking he's going to get second. Well, I turn up the power, but I'm sure he was seeing her in the rear view, at least in the riders list, knowing what kind of power she was applying. So here are.
She did squeak it out.
She did.
Nothing like 36 thousandths of a second, or 36 thousandths of a second. So Timothy has got to be frowning on that one, and I am today keeping sort of track of who's scoring what in each of the races, so I'll be reporting on that. And so Timothy lost out on some valuable points for the overall win today for the entire playlist.
That was just, I had said Vanessa's doing all different tactics. She's cagey. Do not count her out. She just proved my point right there. Look at her manifesting her own destiny there, never giving up, not going to settle for third. And she said, I'm going to do my best to just overtake Timothy at the line, and she does. You can see Sebastian fourth, Ben, and on down the line. So moving on to race number 2. This is a new map. It was just released. It's one of the 3 maps from the Lakeview series, and there are no power-ups to speak of. So this is going to be a race. You can see the shape of the race there. You can see some of those 90-degree corners, hairpin corners. It is a flat road. We just came from our other arcade peak with lots of obstacles. This is going to have some different race dynamics, Frank, and this is a new course. So tell me a little bit about this new course in the Lakeview series.
Absolutely. It was a little bit confusing to me because we have another course that looks just like this. That's a mountain bike course that has obstacles. Yep. This one does not have obstacles. You can go around the corners probably about the same speed because this one's a little tighter. It's a little shorter lap. But it is very, very technical. Now, before I go on, sort of give you a points update after the first race. We have Carl with 20 points. We have Timothy with 17. No, we don't have Timothy with 17. We have Vanessa with 17.
Vanessa! Yep.
Vanessa with 17. We have Timothy with 14. I'm giving Timothy a hard time for giving up those 3 points right at the line by just 0.3 of a second. And so we'll see how he responds in this race. But that gives you the scoring for the top. Sebastian's right there. Any day you beat Sebastian is a good day. And we'll see how he handles this race as well.
Awesome. Right now we're on board with Christian Weidman. And he is he's a familiar name in Cade Sport racing. He's been with the platform for a long time. Whoop! Pedro goes down. I just love how aggressive Pedro rides. In the last few weeks that I've been watching him, he has got some legs, and if he can settle down his just kind of get on the line there. I think it's a game of just tempering your enthusiasm and staying on the line and not getting over amped, because he has the strength. He just needs to slow down his mind a little bit. It's like the zen of Cade Sport.
Absolutely. I was talking with some people, and I think, if you're a type A personality, you tend to wreck more in the corners, I think. And then, I love Sebastian, who's, Mr. Consistent, don't overcook it. And you see he's just staying in the mix here by doing good corners. Now, what we also see out front is we've seen Team Hive sort of trying to respond to the Christian Wiedemann attack here. But you've also got riding a lot together, Vibeke and Timothy. They're getting more improved. Oh, somebody goes down there on the leaves and the branches. But you see them riding well together. They're getting much more consistent. Definitely in Cade Sport, practice is important. It's not just about your fitness. It is about your skill as well.
Yeah, I was noticing them when this peloton is kind of broken up, and two things I observed. One thing was Sebastian waiting at the back, seeing that there was traffic ahead of him, waited for everyone to kind of take that corner a little wide, and he was able to sneak on in the inside line. Vibeke does go down, but I was going to say, I know, shoot. She wears
Vibeke, we were just saying how great you were doing.
Yes. Yes. I know. You got it. So, but it's really fun to watch those two of them with all of the traffic that was going on. They looked like one unit, almost like they were riding a tandem bicycle. They were changing lanes together. They were really synchronized well. And I think that's where I'm kind of curious to see, as the skill level comes up, how these teams actually really leverage the team tactics, and I'm talking about team tactics beyond just sort of like an attack, making someone else close it and coming over the top, all the typical things that we see. I really feel like there's going to be some really insane riding with advanced tactics that we can't even imagine. These racers are very smart.
Absolutely. Oh! Ben,
I think he just said,
we're gonna have to blur those lips, because I could lip read, Ben. I could lip read.
No,
that
he said spaceship. I saw him say
he
spaceship.
Said spaceship. That's what he said. Exactly.
Spaceship,
he
did.
It was an alien spaceship that took him down. Yep.
That's
now,
right.
Very interestingly, we've got Shaq up here at the front, and Shaq is kind of that. I call her the one-person race, because she kind of generally selects one race that she's going to do really well in, and that's what some people do with the playlists. Some people want to win them all. Some people want to score as many points as they can in a playlist, and others are just like, you know what, I'm going for the win. This is my stage, and Shaq is definitely going to push Carl and Timothy to the limit. I'm putting my money on Shaq today.
I love that. We're about halfway through this second race in the playlist. And, what's interesting is that we've got these three front riders. None of them are teammates, and all of them are very familiar with each other's skills and abilities. So that's another piece of intel that can't go sort of unchecked. And, when you have newer folks to the platform, like you said, type A, it's really hard to sort of temper, because right now, I'm sure when you look at the heart rates, you can kind of say, okay, well, look at how low Shaq's heart rate is compared to, to the other riders. So she's really,
well, she's going to have to raise that heart rate now.
Now we can watch that go up.
Yep. Yes, we can. Now, one of the interesting things about this course, you asked me about the course earlier, is this is really a rhythm course. And this is one of the areas where I really enjoy Cade Sport, because it's about cycling. I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but what's interesting about this course is it doesn't really behoove you to go super hard and brake super hard and then go through the corners. And it's better just to sort of get in that rhythm and cycle the course, right? So you sort of keep a steady pedal stroke through the corners, down the straights. Maybe you pick it up a little bit, but then you sort of coast into the corners to slow back down and have maximum grip through the corners. And the other thing that does is, once you get out in front of people, it's very hard for them to pull you back if you maintain that rhythm.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're like, we're looking at those speed differentials. And if you're, trying to fly on whatever you have for a straightaway and then putting on the brakes, you're just wasting so much energy, right? Because you have to punch it, recover, punch. It's different kind of race than if you're just kind of staying consistent and steady. And you can see Carl was holding on to Timothy's wheel, but I think he maybe just kind of slid back a little bit to make sure he doesn't get tempted to overcook the corners, because you don't want to trust that wheel. That wheel in front of you will lead you astray.
Absolutely, but I also think here is Timothy's just a little bit more comfortable in the corners. Timothy's a little bit more comfortable pushing that gauge. Timothy knows that he can save it if he starts to skid. Like you see him getting onto the inside of the corners, it gives him a little bit of room to skid. Now you saw Shaq using the opposite, sort of coming across down on the apex, and she was staying in. There's really two choices of lines here. Sort of if you're riding a bike and you don't have the whole road, you tend to hug the shortest route, which is the inside. But you can also, if you do have the whole road, you can use the apex to your advantage. Start on the outside of the corner, cut the corner across, and you can carry a bit more speed through the corner that way. And so again, what you see here is just that comfort level between Timothy's corner and Carl, making a little bit of a difference here. It's not a big difference. These are two excellent riders, but it is changing. Now, one of the things that's nice, I mentioned the rhythm part about this. Instead of this being a track meet, on a lot of the other cycling platforms, it's all about your legs. It's about watts per kilograms. They even talk about watts per kilogram.
1 kilometers to go. And sorry, there we go.
Good point.
I just wanted to make sure in case anything got animated.
Yeah, like I said, I'm second string. It's nothing like missing the finish as for a commentator, but Timothy holds off Carl. Congrats on that. I think I can give Timothy a 20, and he might be making up for that loss. But those 3 points in the last race are really going to hurt him, because he'd be tied with Carl, but now he's still behind.
You saw there too, Shaq still takes the 4th place, but saw Sebastian coming around and was able to just give enough of the legs. He didn't catch her sleeping. I think he wanted to come around Pedro did try to come around and get one extra position there coming across the line. And here is what the standings look like for this race number 2 in our playlist. Timothy takes number 1, Carl Axel 2, and Christian in 3rd. So, and then Shaq in 4th. We've got our other riders: Sebastian, Vibeke, Homer, Pedro, Kay, Alfonso. Hey, BJ, I hadn't seen you in there. Nice to see you racing today. Renee and Ben. So, great roster there, and really exciting racing. And now, do you want to give us, have you done your tally, Frank? I know you can do it in your head. I need to have it written down on a whiteboard somewhere, but how are the standings after race 2?
Aren't we supposed to have computers that do this? Okay, we've got Carl in the lead with 37 points. We've got Timothy in second with 34. I believe 3rd place is going to Sebastian at 24 points. But he's going to have to do something magnificent in this last race to overcome that 10-point deficit to Timothy. But those are your top 3 so far.
All right, very good. Thank you for that. That point tabulation. It's more fun to do it in your head if you have that quick math. Okay, 7.4 kilometers on Dust Bowl Crit, which is a hilly road. You can see there again. There's a couple lumpy spots there, and then we've got 2 corner capers and 2 wind at your back. So we're bringing power ups back into this race. 2 each of each corner capers. This is the card counting, paying attention to what the other racers are doing in the race. And if I remember Dust Bowl Crit, there are a few corners that can definitely mess you up. So, corner caper Crit is,
yep, corner caper will definitely come in handy. It is a great course. It was designed by Ben, and I'm thinking Ben wants me to be first string instead of second string behind Chris, because if Chris was here, he would be giving Ben a hard time for how he's doing on this course. So definitely Chris would be expecting Ben to do very well on this course. He designed it, and it is a great course for racing. It's got some downhill corners, which are always tricky in cage sport, just like they are outdoors. You've got to brake early, got to get off the brakes to sort of coast through the corner and have maximum grip, and then you accelerate out of the corners. And here we go. I'll let you call the start.
All right, out of the gate they will go. You can see that they are transparent. You can see Christian digging 1,600 watts, just blasting out in front, trying to make a mark, let everyone know, bring your legs to dinner here. If you, winner, chicken dinner, bring your legs. Okay, yeah. So, what?
Looks like we got, okay, this is a great, we're going to highlight BJ. First of all, there's a pile up of puppies in the first corner. Now, here's the interesting thing. I think BJ Alfonso, I think he's out of Portugal or Spain. I think that's a Portugal flag. But anyway, I'm sure someone will let me know here shortly. But he's switched the paradigm from, I spoke too soon. So that corner is a little bit tighter than he's used to.
But until that point, he has switched.
But until that point, he switched his paradigm from just pedal to cycling. It's like, I've got to take these corners, and he was doing very well. Now, it'll take him a little while to unlearn some of the bad habits that you pick up, where you're just pedaling into all the corners, because you've got to get a sense for the speed of the game and the speed that you're going. And then Pro Power sort of makes that a little bit worse in a sense, because you do go a little bit faster than you would outdoors. Most of us anyway are not pros, and so you have to calibrate for that. But that'll come very, very quickly to BJ.
Yeah, for sure. He's been a long-time virtual cyclist, and I think that coming to this platform, as I said, I haven't called his name before. I don't know what experience level he has with race dynamics, and certainly this is a course that requires lots of skill, but also you need to be familiar with it. Like, when do you want to overtake it? Now, look at here, our riders here, Timothy and Ben. There's this little bump, and then it comes to this little S corner, if I remember correctly, where they will need to slow down a little bit. You can see Timothy applies the brakes a little bit. Not quite enough. Ragdolls down, but Ben holds his tempo.
Yeah, that
here.
Was another great example. I don't know if you saw this, but Ben was braking much earlier than Timothy, and I think Timothy was going to try and brake harder. Now, granted, they're trying to catch Christian, and Christian's way up the road, but you got to get through these corners consistently. And you saw Ben brake much earlier, and then sort of off the brakes, coast through the corner, and he gets a break away from his teammate. Now, maybe they'll wait and work together. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Now, they've got Carl Axel right behind them. They've got Renee right behind them. They might all come together. It's a little bit harder on this course through the corners, but if they do come together, there are enough straights that will be an advantage to the chasers.
Exactly, and knowing where you are on the course and when you do have those opportunities for the straights, because that's one of the things where you maybe want to use your wind at your back, but you do want to, sort of charge that power up when you have enough road, so that you don't sort of, you want the free speed, you don't want to be penalized for this free speed. So this is one where you don't need to save a wind at your back for the finish, because the finish has a nice hairpin turn right before the line. The one that gets you.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And an interesting thing to watch here is we've got Carl currently in 4th position. And so that would give him 12 more points for a total of 49.
Corner's coming, BJ. Corner's coming, BJ. Pay attention.
Hit the brakes, BJ.
It's coming.
Okay.
Yep. Right here.
Gotta hit him before the corner and let off. Just like in real life, you want to be off the brakes by the time you're cornering there. Now, the interesting part is, Christian way out in front.
Yep.
This is where I always hear people be like, "This corner is unfair," and it's quite interesting. Some of these corners are quite tight. It's a little bit harder to get that sense in the virtual world, but experience does bring it as well. And to be fair to BJ, he's doing awesome. This is the first time I've seen him racing in a stream on Cade Sport, and while he's going down a little bit, I think he's actually going down less than most people their first time out. Now, Timothy is scoring 17 points currently. He's at 51 points. So Carl is in danger of losing the playlist for the day, and Ben Julian, Timothy's teammate, being in between them is critical. So not only does Timothy have to maintain his position, but Ben's got to maintain his position as well. to score the win for the day for Timothy. And as I say that, Carl says, "Nuh-uh, I'm not giving in for the overall score today so easily." And here we've got that downhill.
Up that speed.
Yep, and you see...
I saw that coming.
Right, and look.
So it's so easy to sit here. It's so easy to sit here and watch, because the only thing I have to do is sort of watch those KPH, see them drop the power up. And I know this course from racing myself. I know where I've gone down. So anybody, if I call your name and I watch you crash, let me tell you, I've crashed in every single corner. I've held a race. I've almost won, and I haven't won, and that's the part that kind of keeps me coming back, is that sort of that challenge. And there's a real challenge here that makes, this is a game. It should be enjoyable. Timothy goes down.
No, Timothy. Timothy on the lead for the day, and now he's put that in jeopardy.
There's his face. That's his fight face. This is his fight song.
Look at head down.
Right song.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Ben's going to try and save him, but here's what's interesting. Carl, in the meantime, is fading. Renee goes down, but he's got Sebastian in front of him. He's got pressure from Sebastian. Sebastian is an excellent rider. This is not going to be easy for Carl to save the day. Timothy might have been counting those chickens before they hatched, and we'll have to see, looking at the end of this, where that falls out. But very interesting racing here a little bit.
Christian goes down. So that changes things here at the front, because that lowers the gap. Timothy only 1 second back now. Christian drops the corner caper. I think that might have been an accident because he wasn't in a corner. Interesting. So right now you can see that, oh my gosh, that Timothy is turning himself inside out. He can almost taste it. He is chasing down Christian with 3 kilometers to go. If he can make connection, and if he cannot overcook the corners, this is going to be a very exciting finish.
But luckily, Timothy's not very competitive. And, no. A commentator's
over
curse.
His face. You know what? That's a new. I know that the avatars have the animation. They put their hand on their head, just like Timothy just did. That needs to be maybe one of your new Cade emojis, Frank. Is someone putting, expressing.
That's it. That would actually
palm,
be
face
perfect.
palm.
Right, face palm. We got to get that one in. I'm with you, because I don't really want to laugh at him. I don't want to send him a laugh emoji, even though I'm laughing. But that would be much better, because they would feel me. We would have empathy versus I'm just making fun of you.
It's an empathy one. Yeah, the face palm is an empathy, because we all feel it. It's a collective face palm. Because believe it or not, I want all the racers to know I'm rooting for all of you. I really am, because I'm always interested to see what you show me, because there's no way in my brain, and I was saying this in one of the races on Tuesday, Frank, is that racers can come in with a plan, right? They can say, okay, dust bowl crit, I've got 2 corner capers, I've got 2 wind at my back, I'm going to use corner caper here, I'm going to do this here, but someone crashes, something unexpected happens, you've got traffic, and all of a sudden your plan has to go out the window. So you have to be adaptable, and you have to think on your feet. And I think that that's another skill beyond the tactics that we see deployed, is sort of how do these racers respond to the unexpected in the race, with all of the different dynamics going on.
Wow, and you just saw Timothy. That is the most braking I've ever seen Timothy do to go around that corner. He about came to a complete stop. So he's just trying to hold his position at this point. Don't think he's gonna. He says CW take the win. Now this is a little bit interesting. Is Ben like, nope, you're not going to win for the day. I want to beat you, Timothy, and so I'm going to take the lead here. And this hurts Timothy with regards to points. And so it might be that Carl and Timothy are close, if not tied. So what will the teammates do here? Very, very interesting.
Yeah, my guess with 1.4 kilometers to go in a 6-second gap, they're going to be strategic and they just want to stay in front of Carl Axel, as you said. So they've made up that ground. They've at least held that position and held Carl Axel back. But look at them side by side, both of them working. Maybe a little gentleman's race here, like, oh yeah, let's do it.
Look at that! Look
back.
at that crooked little smile that Ben had there. He's like, nope, bud. If you want to win the points for the day, you're going to have to win the points for the day. And Timothy says, yeah, I've got that plan. You guys thought Christian was going to win. I'm going to take the win. Before that, Ben and Carl were separated by 1
Timothy,
point.
Ben, go down.
No.
Open the door back for Christian. Yes. They both just crashed. Both of them feeling a little confident. Face palm. Up this little bump. There are a couple bumps in this course. You can see on the elevation map, couple bumps. They feel it in their legs. You can see the speed slow down. And then another corner. So we're coming close, 0.7 kilometers. Christian is 8 seconds up from Timothy. I am not thinking Timothy has any more power-ups to make that happen. Maybe a corner caper Timothy has for the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of fun here. A lot of crashing. Timothy's best friend today is Sebastian. Sebastian's been doing really well. Although Sebastian and Carl both went down, you start to feel that pressure, and you do go down. But it looks like Timothy should be able to hold on to this. I think the only thing that could take Timothy out at this point is himself or his teammate Ben. So we'll see, because I think Ben wants to take it from him. Ben's just having altogether too much fun, because let's face it, Ben has to do well on his course. He's got the course that he designed. I mean, he should be able to beat Timothy. Ooh, I'm starting to sound like Chris. Just giving you a little bit of a hard time. Really trying to give you a shout out, Ben. I love this course. It's a great course.
Christian
the way that you designed
gets that
it.
wind.
Yep,
Here he comes.
and he takes off.
Makes it through.
Oh, he's got this locked up. There I go. I keep talking so much, I almost missed the end. Oh, wait a minute here.
Ben comes around Timothy.
Oh.
He uses the corner
that's
caper. He dropped it. Oh, so the two of them.
My! Timothy was clapping, but I think there was another hand gesture he was considering. Right there.
You know what? Game knows
the
game right there. Game knows game right there. The two of these guys having fun out there on course, kind of saying, you know what, it doesn't matter. Let's push each other a little bit. We saw them side by side sprinting. Here comes Carl Axel through that last hairpin corner right before the finish. He got it. Slowed it down. He doesn't have Homer that far behind him. He didn't have to overcook it. Back into this recovery mode. 5th place is certainly respectable on this course. And this was some exciting racing. I did think that Ben and Timothy's little shenanigans, though, did cost them 1 and 2, because they kind of got carried away with each other, which opened the door for Christian to capitalize on that mistake in monkey business and take the W. Here we are on board with Homer as he finishes the course. You can see a rider up ahead of him that's transparent. That's a racer that is being lapped. Merle, keep going, Merle. We want to make sure that everybody comes across the line. We've got Vibeke here. We've got Renee dropping all the colors there. Corner caper, wind at your back. Vibeke comes across the line. Not far behind is Kay, Team CCC. Nice work. And keep on working, Shaq, BJ, Vanessa, Pedro. This course is one of the hardest ones to me on Cade, because it sneaks up on you. Here are the results for race 3 in our playlist. Christian on top, Ben and Timothy 2nd and 3rd, Sebastian in 4th, Carl, Homer, Renee, Vibeke, Kay, and a few more riders out on course. So have I talked enough yet to give you that math? You have the official scores for the day?
I've got all the math, and I have to chuckle a little bit here, because I actually think Ben and Timothy are better at math than me, and they computed it already in their heads, because Timothy beats Carl on the day by 1 single point. So his teammate didn't do him in. And congratulations to the Hive team on that win. And I think they should be sending some champagne to Sebastian. because he held off Carl, and that 1 point would have made all the difference. So congratulations to Carl. Excellent performance today, obviously first and then second. Then maybe some fatigue setting in on the last race, but just off by 1 point, second for the day. And I believe I'm going to have to think a little bit more, but it's clearly Sebastian for third overall today. So Mr. Consistent, Sebastian comes into third place overall for the playlist.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, some great racing out there on course. If you are new to the platform, and BJ, I mean you and I have raced together, former teammate of mine. I believe in you. Stick with it. You're going to have so much fun, especially with all of these other races to learn from. So jump into as many races as you can and just be a sponge. So Frank, as always, it's awesome to comment with you. Thank you so much for joining the broadcast today.
Well, Beth, thank you for allowing a second stringer in today. I had a lot of fun, and I look forward to racing again shortly.
That sounds great. Now, are you all doing this on Saturday, or are we just going to be back on Tuesday? What's the scoop here?
I'm not sure with regards to the stream, and I didn't know if you were asking me or the stream, but well, I can tell you that I probably won't be riding on Saturday either. But hopefully I'll be back on next Monday and Tuesday.
Fantastic. Well, I will be back on Tuesday with another broadcast, and I cannot wait to see what the Cade Sport Wizards come up with for a playlist. Congratulations to all the racers. As I said, I am learning so much. I have to get my legs back in there on a non-broadcast day to kind of feel it, learn the new maps, because it's really exciting to see all the new stuff happening. So keep up the great work, Frank and team, and we will see you on Tuesday. Have a great day.